Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel, Learn How To. And today we're going to be looking at a basic drawing technique called isometric drawing. And for this, you're going to need some basic equipment. It can be done very easily with just a simple pencil. Okay, HB would be fine for this kind of drawing. You may need an eraser, but hopefully we'll be able to do some of the drawings without managing to use that today. And just a 15cm ruler will be fine for what we need to do for today's tasks. Okay, so isometric drawing basically uses the angle of 30 degrees and builds up a 3D shape. This can be done in two ways, either using grid paper like we have here, which is what most beginners will use, or you can use a 30/60 degree set square if you were going to use it with a drawing board. But as we're starting with the basics today, we're going to show you how to use it just straight onto this grid paper. Okay, sometimes you can use paper over the top of the grid paper and use this as an underlay, but for the purposes of you seeing how it's constructed, I'm going to do it straight on the grid today. Okay, so we're going to take a pencil, our ruler, and I'm just going to draw a cube to start with, and it's the principle that you have to try and remember. So all isometric shapes are started by drawing the nearest corner to us. So if I find a point somewhere on the paper, okay, and usually it's easier before you draw your line with the ruler to mark or count your triangles. So for this one, I'm going to do it quite big so you can see it. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. We'll go 10 triangles down. I'm going to mark it top and bottom. I can then draw in my front corner with my rule. Okay. Okay, I'm not going to press too heavy to start with, because we'll be using another technique later on called thick and thin line technique, which outlines the objects to make them look more enhanced. Okay, so our next line that we're going to do are the lines that run out to the left and the right along the grid lines. So if we go to the bottom of our starting line here, starting point, we're now going to count out, because we're doing a cube, we'll count the same. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, mark it, and then draw and join the line together. Okay, we're going to do the same going in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Join those two together. And this is what's called the arrow, or sometimes called the bird's foot, because it's like an arrow pointing down, or a bird's foot shape. And this is the first stage of any isometric drawing. Okay, from here it gets a little bit easier as you start to build the shape. So once you've done these three lines, we can now go to the corners and to the left and the right, and we're going to do exactly the same because it's a cube, and count up the vertical lines on the grid. Another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and join it together. And then the same up this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And join it together. Okay, so the next stage is to make what's called the open book. So now you can see that we've got two vertical sides in. It's very clear to see that we can use these lines here to connect the two top corners together. So we're just going to use our ruler for that. No measuring needed. Okay, and the same on this side here. Okay, and you can see there as it looks like an open book. That's what you should have achieved. Okay, so if you got this far, you're doing really well. Again, make sure that your accuracy is important, that you're not going off the lines, the grid lines, that your lines are exactly over the top, and making sure you execute perfectly in the corners and not running over with stray lines. Okay, so last stage now, nearly there. You can see that we've created two corners, top left and top right. And again, we're going to go down the opposite grid lines. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We'll just mark that with a dot. And join that together, and same for this line here. Okay, so you can now see that we have a perfect isometric cube 3D. Okay, so what we're going to do now, we're going to look at just outlining the shape using something called thick line and thin line. And the principle is that if you can see a surface either side of a line, you would leave that line thin. So this front corner line here, because I can see this side, this surface and this surface, we would leave that one as a thin line. And if I look at this line here along the bottom, to the right of this line I can see this surface, but there is nothing to the left of it. It's just the fresh air or the ground or whatever that cube is sitting on. So that's nothing connected to that side. So that's only one surface. So that would be a thick line. Okay, so what we would do, and for this purpose, I'm going to use a fine liner for this, okay, just so that it can make it a little bit more bold. Or you could go around it again with your pencil and press on a little bit heavier, okay? Or a coloured crayon if you were going to be rendering it or colour toning it in colour. Okay, so using rule, I'm just now going to carefully go around the shape, making these lines a little bit heavier or darker. So that they stand out. And there we have it, our first cube. Okay, if you want to see how to do some more complicated shapes, please tune into my other videos that follow this one. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Cheers, see you later guys.